every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News, reaching you live from our Lagos studios. I am Oluyemisi Olubi, and here are the top stories we're tracking tonight. Thanks for joining us. And now we bring you the news in detail. The much anticipated local government election in Ondo State, which suddenly in the last 72 hours generated attention with triple lawsuits seeking interlocutory injunctions to stop the election, has finally been concluded across the 18 local government areas of the state. The election, which witnessed a not too impressive turnout of voters in most of the polling units, visited by CoreTV correspondent in Akure, the state capital, and Ondo Town, the home of Governor Olusegun Mimiko. The governor, who got to his polling unit at about 12:10 p.m. with his wife Olukemi, did his accreditation at Ward 7, Unit 20 of Ondo West local government. Shortly after being accredited, Governor Mimiko went around to assess the situation across some units before returning to cast his vote at about 1:30 p.m. He later spoke on his impression about the local government election, which had generated heated controversies at the Federal High Court a few days to the election. During the election, human and vehicular traffic were restricted, with the police and other security agencies being on hand all over the streets to enforce the restrictions on movement and ensure peace and security. The election, which is the first in the 7 years of Governor Olusegun Mimiko's administration, 14 political parties participated, with the ruling PDP being the dominant party, while the All Progressive Congress APC decided to boycott the election. Collation of votes has commenced, and results of winners are expected to be announced by the Ondo State Independent Electoral Commission. We have online our Ondo State correspondent, Leke Olagbami, to put us through updates on the election. Hello, Leke.
Yes, hello.
Leke, can you give us updates on the Ondo State electoral election?
Well, the election was on to be of the 18 local governments of the state. And as I said earlier, the voter turnout is not as important as the ruling party has projected. But the election was done. As at now, collation is going on, and winners hopefully will be announced by tomorrow morning.
How about?
So far, it went on peacefully without any distractions in terms of security gates. Except for some places in the people where it was said that there were reported cases of fracas in terms of ballot destruction and snatching. And it obviously happened between supporters of the same PDP and the personalized PDP. So far, the election went peacefully without any serious incidents.
All right, it's evidence that the APC boycotted the election.
Yes.
What's the camp of the PDP feeling like after the APC boycotted the election?
After the APC boycotted the election, there has been even before they boycotted anyway, there's been this news of voter apathy. And that was what was witnessed generally, because from finding the those who participated in the election obviously carrying members of the PDP without the real representation of voters across the state. And this is not far-fetched from the fact that most people in the state are undergoing the panic of the economy, based on the fact that in the last 4 5 months, workers have yet to receive what is called salary there. And as a result, most of the so-called civil servants in those states actually paid from the proper election. And it was more of a party thing, so to say.
So, can we categorically state that the result of the election will be announced tomorrow?
I believe so. I believe so, based on what we have found out from the electoral board here. From tomorrow, results from the night, election results will start coming.
All right, Leke.
Hello?
All right, Leke. Thank you so much for joining us. And still on by-elections, the Yobe State by-election witnessed a high turnout of displaced people than residents coming out to vote in Damaturu, the state capital, as many people showed no interest in voting. The National Assembly seat for Gujba, Golani, Damaturu, and Tamuwa Federal Constituency was left vacant by the Minister of State Foreign Affairs, Honorable Khadija Bukar Ibrahim. The election was held amidst tight security, with streets of Damaturu and other affected councils areas deserted. Businesses were also shut down in the 4 local council areas to allow security operatives ensure a hitch-free election. And still on politics, some political party chieftains have been insisting that if corruption must be totally eradicated from Nigeria, civil servants must be well paid for the services they render. They are expressing this view at a one-day roundtable on corruption in governance and society, organized by Conrad Adenar Stiftung in Abuja. Our correspondent Basil Okafo has more.
These stakeholders who gather here no doubt have the issue of corruption in mind and generally agree that the political will to fight the social ill has been very low since Nigeria existed as a country. While others commended President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration on the ongoing war against corruption, the chairman of Labour Party, Abdul Kadir Salam, accuses the president of being selective.
Buhari's administration is fighting a selective, a discriminative corruption, because it's not fighting corruption down to earth. For you to fight corruption, you must have policy program, you must have agenda. It's because of the complexity.
The chieftains of various political parties, alongside the media and the civil society organizations, resolved that corruption existed everywhere but varied from society to society. They say corruption in the civil service was the worst form of corruption that had permeated all societal fabrics.
The way forward is for us to stop celebrating mediocrity. It's also to stop celebrating issues that are not necessarily meant to be celebrated. We must stand up and now say, no, our focus is that we want to focus on merit of individuals, the competency of those individuals, and the ability for them to deliver those promises that have been made. Those are the things that can take us out of this whole system.
Definitely, I'm not satisfied because there is too much corruption and there are too many forms of corruption. Partly it's right-out stealing, partly it is misuse of office. Partly it is what, from my background, I would call the real corruption, like I do this for you, what do you have for me?
To get Nigeria on the right track, they say government must play its part by ensuring the people's welfare, and that the citizens must also do their part by paying their taxes, among other civil duties. Basil Okafo, CoreTV News, Abuja.
President Muhammadu Buhari and 59 other world leaders in the United Kingdom have agreed to sign in May sanctions to be imposed on corrupt political and public office holders. The pact will ensure that the participating 60 countries will no longer be a safe haven for treasury looters. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, says the agreement will make it difficult for those stealing public funds in the country to escape abroad or stash cash in foreign accounts. The affected countries will also design ways of sharing intelligence on corrupt officers and money launderers. The Accountant General of the Federation says at least 2.7 trillion has so far been collected on the Treasury's single account platform. He also gives the assurance that the federal government is working out modalities to ensure that payment of federal government workers are made early, in line with the directives of President Muhammadu Buhari. Idris stated that the monies realized through the TSA platform belong to federal government ministries, departments and agencies and are meant for their operations and not for sharing or for any other purposes, as been reported in some sections of the media. Furthermore, the AGF revealed that the TSA has helped governments to have a firm and full control of its resources, blocking leakages, helping it to reduce the cost of borrowing and to monitor spending in the MDAs. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission say 16 states are yet to disburse about 57,663,185,735,000 naira out of the bailout funds approved for them by President Muhammadu Buhari. The agency also indicted states such as Imo, Zamfara and Enugu for diverting the bailout funds, which were meant for workers' salaries, to other use. However, some states are yet to either collect or utilize the bailout funds. Those in this category are Sokoto, Kogi and Bayelsa. And still with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC has commenced investigation on 4 other companies that were allegedly paid 1,450,000,000 naira by the Office of the National Security Advisor. The cash was said to be part of the $2.1 billion voted for arms, which was diverted to other use. A top functionary of the Goodluck Jonathan government, who is believed to be associated with the companies, was invited for questioning by the Commission as part of the ongoing probe of the $2.1 billion arms deal by ONSA, and had gone through for about 8 hours grilling. The affected companies and the breakdown of the cash transferred are as follows: Stellavara Development Company, 300 million naira. First Aralac Global Limited, 300 million naira. First Aralac Global Limited, 100 million naira. Again, Damaris Mode, 300 million naira. Stellavara Development Company, again, 200 million naira. And Weiss Farms Limited, 250 million naira. A Lagos magistrate court sitting in Ikeja has remanded Robert Azibwala, a cousin to former President Goodluck Jonathan, in the custody of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, pending the completion of investigation of an alleged diversion of $40 million through OnePlus Holdings, a sister company of Kakata Construction Limited, which was for securing oil pipelines. Chief Magistrate B.O. Oshunsomi gave the order that Azibwala should be remanded in EFCC custody, as requested by the Anti-Graft Agency. According to the EFCC, the payment for which Azibwala was being investigated was said to have been made by the detained former National Security Advisor, Sambo Dasuki. Azibwala had recently approached the High Court of Federal Capital Territory to challenge his unlawful detention by the EFCC since March 23, 2016. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has frozen an account belonging to former Aviation Minister Femi Fani-Kayode, an alleged 4 billion naira campaign cash received from former President Goodluck Jonathan in the build-up to the 2015 general elections. The funds were allegedly withdrawn from the Central Bank of Nigeria. In a response, Fani-Kayode claimed he knows nothing about the withdrawal of the cash from the CBN, or funding of the campaign by the former National Security Advisor, but he received the funds from ex-President Jonathan and he is accountable only to the former leader and not the EFCC. Fani Kaode admits that campaign funds were paid into the account of a private company operated by a former Minister of Finance, Nenadi Usman, and shared to 10 other directors, including Achike Udenwa, Viola Onwuleri, Oke Ezenwa, and Nenadi Usman. Some senators have coalesced into a group of 77 drawn from various parties and camps to protect what they have dubbed as the integrity of the Senate. The new G77, which had its maiden meeting on Thursday night, was meanwhile launched moves to extricate the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, from the control of the presidency, in the light of claims by the senators that it had become a tool of the administration. The G77, comprising mostly of new senators, is also up in arms against older senators who they claim have monopolized the juicy committees of the Senate to the detriment of the newer ones. The maiden meeting of the G77 was hosted by Senate Minority Leader Godswill Akpabio. Reports indicate that the G77 came into existence to frustrate any gang-up against Senator Saki's leadership of the Senate. Among those cited at the meeting were Senator Samuel Anyanwu, representing PDP Imo East, Clifford Odia, representing PDP Edo Central, Matthew Urogidi, representing PDP Edo South, Ben Murray Bruce, representing PDP Bayelsa East, Dino Melaye, representing APC Kogi West, Biodun Olujimi, representing PDP Ekiti South, and Issa Mesau, representing APC Bauchi Central, among others. We'll go for a short break now. Do join us again.
VAT, Value Added Tax, is a tax paid on all goods and services and remitted by the seller of the goods or provider of the service to government. 5% VAT is added to the total cost of goods and services in Nigeria, and when remitted to government is used for funding development. The VAT you pay will be used by government to develop our transport infrastructure like roads and railway lines, to continually improve our educational sector by building more schools and upgrading existing ones, to provide adequate security and a better quality of life for us all. Pay your VAT. Make your contributions to the development of Nigeria. It pays to pay your tax. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
Thanks for joining us again. Do remember that you can get updates on our news stories from our different social media platforms. Facebook, we are facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can also check out our Twitter handle at CoreTV News NG. Or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/CoreTV News. If you're just joining us, you're onto CoreTV Primetime News. And here is a recap of our top stories. Now to matters concerning security. The Naval Training Command of the Nigerian Navy has trained 39 policemen in a basic marine operation course to counter maritime crimes like pipeline vandalism, crude oil theft, among others. The course, which lasted for 12 weeks, was targeted at developing capacity for marine and riverine operations for personnel of the Marine Wing of the Nigerian Police. Although one policeman was dropped for medical reasons, 39 other trained personnel, including 14 assistant superintendents of police, 6 inspectors, 4 sergeants, and 16 corporals, made it through, while the BMOC training commander was Captain Livingstone Izu. Some of the maritime courses were taught by Captain Maiwa Olukoya, Deputy Commander of the Special Boat Services. In his speech, the NAVTRAG Flag Officer Commanding Rear Admiral Joseph Okeje said the graduation was a milestone for the Navy and the police. The Nigerian Army has prevented another suicide bomb attack in Umarari in Borno State after intercepting a suspected bomber on his way to the community. Acting Director, Army Public Relations, Colonel Sani Kuka Usman, confirms that in Maiduguri, troops of 7th Division Garrison Forward Operation Base averted a catastrophe by suspected Boko Haram terrorists at about 7 a.m. The suicide bomber was intercepted by the vigilante groups and the civilian JTF while attempting to enter the village to detonate a dangerous cargo on innocent persons in the community. Usman further reveals that the suspect was forced to detonate his explosives after he was halted by security agents and members of the civilian JTF. In the bid to rehabilitate Boko Haram victims, the federal government has allocated empowerment tools to associations and internally displaced persons of the Boko Haram insurgency in Adamawa, presenting the materials which comprise grinding machines, water pumps, tricycles, wheelchairs, and block molding machines at a ceremony in Yola. The Secretary to the federal government, Babachir Lawal, says the gesture is to assist them with something to depend on while they resettle in a new environment. Lawal, who was represented by Senior Special Assistant to the President on Policy Development and Analysis, Alhaji Ibrahim Bapatel, implores beneficiaries not to sell the items but to make maximum use of them to generate revenue for their benefit and that of their communities. Over 1,000 people will benefit from the program. Troops of the 3rd Battalion of 22 Task Force Brigade have arrested 4 Boko Haram terrorist kingpins known as Amirs at RAN headquarters of Kalabalge local government area of Borno State. This is as the Army is reminding members of the public that the 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew arrangement imposed on Maiduguri, the capital of Borno State, as one of the measures to counter the activities of Boko Haram terrorists is still in force. The Director of Army Public Relations, Sani Kuka Usman, reveals that the arrested kingpins specialize in various aspects of criminality aimed at sustaining the terrorist group in their areas. According to Usman, the 4 terrorists were arrested following a tip-off by well-meaning members of the public. The Army spokesman listed the arrested kingpins to include Umara Maigaran Radio, a radio technician, Umaru Mainama, a specialist in castle rustling and sales, Alifa Makinta, a specialist in stealing foodstuffs, and Balu Jugundum, a specialist in charge of stolen jewelries. With the prevalence of insurgency in Nigeria since 2009, Boko Haram has killed several Nigerians and abducted many, thereby becoming a national threat to the country and other African countries. Concerned Nigerians, however, call on the government to put an end to the incessant killings of innocent lives. Victoria Solomon has more.
Boko Haram insurgency began in 2009 when the jihadist rebel group started an armed rebellion against the government. Efforts to put an end to the dreaded group since then has proved abortive. The federal government, however, continues to seek help from other countries to end this scourge, and there is a growing belief that there will be history soon. Meanwhile, concerned Nigerians are of the opinion that the government is trying its best, but there is also the clamor for more.
A lot can still be done to ensure that Boko Haram is curtailed to the same level that it is curtailed in other parts of the world. I mean, no country practically in the world now is free of terrorism.
The federal government should, step up in that direction. The killing in the northern area. These are not chickens, they are human life. The government have to be very proactive in that direction. It's not about Boko Haram, it's about killing of Nigerians.
The government cannot succeed alone, so Nigerians are being urged to play their part in curtailing insurgency in Nigeria.
We all have a responsibility. Of course, the government have a greater role to play. It is every Nigerian's responsibility. You must yourself become more aware of what you do to contribute to the challenges we have.
As more people clamor for peace in the country, many are optimistic that peace will return soon enough.
The Nigerian Prison Service spokesperson, Francis Enobere, says the Controller General of the Nigerian Prison, Peter Ekpendu, denies allegations of assault on female lawmaker Onyemachi Mrakpo of the House of Representatives. Enobere stated that the Controller General was at the National Assembly on the invitation of a committee to attend to some official issues. He also notes that accurate accounts of what happened can be obtained from the security personnel on duty at the National Assembly where the incident took place. He further added that the Controller General is a peace-loving and law-abiding citizen who has never been involved in any act of bravado, impunity or hooliganism, and would not encourage such acts of abuse on any Nigerian. And now to matters concerning the NNPC. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources and Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Ibe Kachiku, says the country needs about $700 million to upgrade the refineries to operate at 90% capacity. He spoke when he inaugurated the Boni Eleme Refinery crude pipeline to formally bring the refinery on stream. Inaugurating the crude pipeline at the PIG station of the Port Harcourt Refining Company, Alesse Eleme, Kachiku noted that there was a need to upgrade the refineries to operate at 90%. He stated that the daily consumption of premium motor spirits currently stands at about 45 million liters and says the refineries now operating at 60% capacity could only produce 12 million liters, adding that there is a need to upgrade the refineries to produce at 90% minimum in a bid to meet 20 million liters daily. The Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, has closed 4 petrol stations in Abuja for hoarding, under-dispensing and other sharp practices while selling premium motor spirit in the Federal Capital Territory. DPR Zonal Operation Controller, North Central, Mohammed Usman, says the agency will continue to sanction those engaging in sharp practices. With the prevailing fuel scarcity, Usman warns that there should be no fuel reserve for so-called special customers. Meanwhile, crude oil prices have hit a record high of $46 a barrel, giving Nigeria a buffer of $8 over its $38 a barrel, which is in the 2016 budget benchmark, a feat which it has not attained since January. And I will take you to Gombe State, where the state government has increased its nutritional budget from 50 million naira to 120 million naira yearly. Chairman, Maternal and Neonatal Child Health Coalition, Gombe, Al-Hassan Yaya, disclosed this in an interview with newsmen in Gombe on Saturday during the meeting with stakeholders working on nutrition. He said that the aim of the meeting was to find a lasting solution to the challenge of malnutrition currently facing the state. He commended Governor Ibrahim Dankwabo for the timely release of funds to increase nutrition among children in the state. Meanwhile, Governor Dankwabo has also promised to extend the nutrition centers from 3 to 11 in number. In addition to those present at the quorum was David Karatu, the state's epidemiologist, who described the issue of malnutrition among children as alarming and promised to do everything humanly possible to see that the problem is tackled. And I will take you to Lagos, where the State Fire Service Director, Razak Fadigbe, confirms that no less than 150 makeshift structures were gutted by an inferno that started late Friday night at Kano Street, Ebute Metta area of Lagos. Similarly, another fire incident gutted goods worth millions of naira at the Nigeria Customs Service Training School's warehouse in the early hours of Saturday. The director says it took his men more than 7 hours to put out the fire, stressing that all the makeshift structures in the area were completely burnt. And now to matters of education. President Muhammadu Buhari is urging university administrators to adopt prudent management of scarce resources at their disposal. The president, represented by Hajia Halima Umar, Director of Tertiary Education, Federal Ministry of Education, at the 32nd convocation ceremony of Bayero University, Kano, called for transparency in their operations. The president further stated that university managers need to be transparent in the deployment of resources for infrastructural and educational development of citizens, and called on private sectors to increase their support with government for the development of the educational sector. He also added that the federal government will continue to have zero tolerance for corruption and will give necessary support to enable them discharge their duties effectively, and also explore other means of getting funds to complement efforts of the federal government. The Senate of the University of Lagos has ordered its students to complete an undertaking form and get it notarized as a condition to be readmitted into the institution from May the 2nd. The institution's Deputy Registrar, Information Unit, Tony Adebule, revealed this today. According to the statement, the Senate at an emergency meeting directed that the full academic activities will resume on Monday, May the 2nd, and the management will ensure electricity in the various halls of residence between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. daily. It also notes that the boreholes in the hostels will continue to provide water supply to the students' units and normal supply from the Lagos State Water Corporation. He further revealed that examination will commence on Monday, May 9th, and urged all students to confirm their examination timetable from the various faculties and departments. And I will take you to Delta State, Abraka, where the university has produced 24 students with first-class degree at its 10th convocation ceremony in the 2014-2015 academic session. The Vice-Chancellor, Professor Victor Peretomode, in his address at the convocation arena, enjoins the students to explore the economic environment as good ambassadors of the university, while commending the state governor, Ifeanyi Okowa, for releasing the sum of 200 million naira for accreditation purposes. Peretomode says the university has obtained 93% accreditation for its programs. He, however, calls for improved funding to enable it meet the infrastructural needs. And still on education, a clarion call has gone to Nigeria's corporate entities and the government to support intellectual competition rather than those which degrade societal values. This assertion was made at the 2016 edition of the National Spelling Bee competition held in Lagos. The keenly contested championship, which had participants across the country, also has a theme that reiterates the need for parents to invest in the future of their children. Correspondent Victoria Solomon was there.
After preliminary battles at the state level, over 40 winners converged in Lagos for the Spelling Bee National Championship. Some got the spellings right and some wrong. Some spellers even betrayed their emotions at the elimination stage. At the final stage of the tournament, emotions ran the air, and in the end, Ruth Ajames from Rivers State emerged winner after 7 rounds.
I feel great, feel honored, and how to split. Hard work, of course. because I studied hard for it. I worked hard, I read books, and I was actually reading dictionary. I didn't even know about the spelling bee. I was reading dictionary. Everybody was like calling me bookworm, walking dictionary in school. Everybody knows me as a brainiac.
Parents and organizers say much needs to be done in encouraging competitions like this through proper investment in children's education.
I'm not really surprised, but I wasn't really thinking that we'll come first anyway. I was expecting that I didn't want us to go home without getting a trophy, but God really helped us that we came first. I thank God for everything. I'm very happy, I'm elated, I'm proud. I'm proud to be a teacher.
We seriously desire that corporate Nigeria will get involved in educational events and programs because since we all believe that the young ones are the leaders of tomorrow, like we always say, we should endeavor to invest in tomorrow's leaders today.
Though with the winner, Nigeria will not be competing at the Scripps World Spelling Bee Championship, as the country is yet to be recognized, but Ruth Ajims will be guest at the World Tour, to be held in the U.S. in May 2016, of which Ghana will be the only African country in participation.
At least 20 people have been reportedly killed and several dozens injured in a bombing in Aleppo. We'll bring you details of that report shortly after this break.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
CoreTV News now live on all Androids.
Welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
Download CoreTV News app from your Play Store. Click on the menu to see all our top stories from politics, sports, business, foreign news and live TV to watch us live on your mobile.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
You can also click on video to see all our YouTube videos. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Thanks for joining us again. And now we'll take you to outside Nigeria, beginning with Aleppo, where dozens have been killed as government forces battle Al-Qaeda fighters, while peace talks continue in Kuwait. Ismail Ahmed, the UN envoy for Yemen, described as constructive the first full day of peace talks, while calling for a halt to airstrikes. Fighting across Yemen has killed more than 6,800 people and driven more than 2.5 million from their homes since March last year. Meanwhile, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula has taken advantage of chaos in Yemen since last year to win control over the southern and eastern Yemen, creating a local government there. At least 20 people have been reportedly killed and several dozens injured in Aleppo bombardment during prayers. Airstrikes launched by the Syrian government have killed several civilians and injured dozens in the northern city of Aleppo as the ceasefire between the government and opposition groups crumbled. The strike targeted 4 different predominantly civilian areas in the city, with the bombardment happening during prayers. Meanwhile, the already shaky ceasefire between the government and some rebels was severely strained on Tuesday, when at least 44 people were killed in airstrikes on 2 markets in the northwest. And I will take you to Germany, where the German Chancellor Angela Merkel and top EU officials are visiting a migrant camp on the Turkish-Syrian border as they seek to sustain a controversial EU-Turkey deal. The delegation is inspecting living conditions at the Nizip camp, home to some 5,000 migrants. In March, Turkey and the EU reached a deal aimed at stopping the flow of refugees and migrants into Europe. The deal initially slowed the numbers of arrivals to Greece sharply, but boats have been coming again with about 150 people a day. Meanwhile, human rights groups criticized the visit and questioned the legality of the deal, which deports Turkish migrants who did not obtain asylum in Greece. Furthermore, Merkel has faced opposition in Germany for her migration policies and has defended the deal with Turkey despite opposition from some European partners. And in North Korea, the country appears to have fired a ballistic missile from a submarine off its eastern coast. It is not clear whether the test was authentic or whether it will be considered a success by the North. It comes as North Korea gears up for a rare and significant party congress next month. Meanwhile, before now, North Korea has been banned from nuclear tests and activities that use ballistic missile technology under UN sanctions since 2006. North Korea is yet to report the test in its own official media. The country has so far conducted 4 nuclear tests, the first one in October 2006 and the most recent one in January this year. And our sports.
Power style, and that's what he delivered.
We begin from the home front by telling you that the chairman of the League Ad Hoc Committee, Babagana Kali, says the Nigerian Women's Football League will resume the 2015-2016 season on May 21st. He made the disclosure in Abuja at the league's annual congress. The ad hoc committee was set up by the Nigeria Football Federation to oversee the affairs of the league in February. Kali then urged members to support the committee in the interest of the game, noting that 18 teams were grouped into 2 and will be participating in the Nigerian Women Premier League. Oshun Babes FC, Tuckers Queens FC, Nasarawa Amazons alongside Bayelsa Queen FC, Edo Queens FC, Abia Queens FC, Ibom Angels, COD United Ladies FC and Pelican Stars are in Group A. And in Group B, we have FC Robo, Adamawa Queens, Sunshine Queens FC, Martin White Dove FC, Capital City Dove FC, Confluence Queens FC, Rivers Angels FC, FC Taraba Queens and Delta Queens will also be participating in the competition. And now we'll take you to England, where Manchester United have reached a first FA Cup final since 2007 as Anthony Martial's stoppage time goal beat Everton at Wembley. Former Toffees midfielder Marouane Fellaini opened the scoring when he swept home a Martial pass. David De Gea saved Romelu Lukaku's penalty, but Everton equalized when Chris Smalling turned Gerard Deulofeu's cross into his own net. However, Martial latched onto substitute under Herrera's poked through ball and drove home the winner. Manchester United will meet the winner of Sunday's tie between Crystal Palace and Watford at Wembley on the 21st of May. And still in the English Premier League, Manchester City moved up to 3rd in the Premier League table with a routine win over Stoke City ahead of Tuesday's Champions League semi-final clash with Real Madrid. Fernando headed the hosts in front from a corner before a Sergio Aguero penalty awarded for Ryan Shawcross's foul on Kelechi Iheanacho doubled the lead. Iheanacho added the 3rd from close range, and moments after that, the teenager rounded Stoke City keeper Jack Butland to seal an emphatic 4-0 win. Now, Liverpool defender Mamadou Sakho is being investigated by UEFA over a possible anti-doping rule violation. Sakho has not been suspended over the potential violation, but Liverpool have decided to leave out the French international while the probe continues. Meanwhile, Sakho was absent from the squad for Saturday's league fixture against Newcastle United at Anfield. UEFA claims Sakho gave an adverse finding in a test after the Reds' match against Manchester United in the Europa League on March the 17th. However, reports in France claim Sakho tested positive for a fat burner after the one-world draw. And that's all we have for you on CoreTV Primetime News. But before we go, here are the top stories we tracked at this hour. And on that note, we drop the anchor tonight. Do join us at 12 a.m. for more updates. I am